only date something at a maximum of 50,000 years. So you never would try to date a dinosaur fossil with carbon-14. And in fact, if the like University of Georgia has a carbon-14 laboratory, if they know you're giving them bone from a dinosaur, they won't test it. They refuse to test it. And here's the reason why. Because every single dinosaur that's been tested has got carbon-14 in it. Every single one. Which demonstrates right off the bat, scientifically, dinosaurs only lived hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of years. And certainly not millions of years ago. Okay? So, as we looked at it. The other thing is that in the fossil record, which is a record of Noah's flood primarily, probably a few layers have been laid down in individual floods, but when we're talking about, like, you go out to the Grand Canyon and you see the layer at the bottom of the Grand Canyon, the Tepete limestone, that goes over the whole United States, goes across, goes through England, goes down through Europe, and down into North Africa. That's a pretty good sized flood. Okay? That's all one layer. In fact, all those layers are gigantic, huge, multi-continent, and that's one of the reasons that they believe that at one time, all of the Earth mass was a single giant continent. Because when it broke apart, you got the same layers on both sides of the Atlantic. Right? And what does the Bible say? It talks about how the fountains of the deep were broken open and all those kind of things. So that's probably when the Earth was busted up and the continents began to move and so on. But in the fossil record, we have gigantism, not just in dinosaurs, but in nearly every single kind of animal. For example, in the fossil record, there are dragonflies that have a 3-foot wingspan. There are cockroaches that are a foot wide, 3 feet long. How would you like to have that running through your kitchen? All right? There are bears twice as big as any bear we have today. And this is one of my favorites. This is a shark tooth. Okay, this shark tooth comes from kind of a small great white. This is a megalodon tooth. It's a mock-up because I don't have the money to buy a real one. But anyway, this is a megalodon tooth, and the megalodon that this came from would have had a mouth size this big. Okay, I could walk in his mouth standing up. 3 times larger than any great white I've ever seen today. Over somewhere around 65 to 70 feet long, gigantic. And it goes in, just everything. There were wombats the size of buffalo. There were beavers the size of buffalo that are in the fossil record. So you've got a lot of gigantism in the fossil record. And I think that that's possibly because, remember how long men lived before the flood? How long did Adam live? Yeah, 930 years. The oldest guy who's on record in the Bible is Methuselah. 969 years. That's pretty close to 1,000. Right? And somebody today who lives a really long time would be like 100. So today we're living like a tenth of how long they lived before the flood. So not only do I think that man lived longer before the flood, I think the animals also lived longer before the flood. Now that's really significant when you get to reptiles. Because reptiles, unlike people, grow as long as they live. They keep getting bigger as long as they live. And one of the things you'll see in the art done by ancient people is these same reptiles that look just like these kind of dinosaurs up here, but you'll notice they're much smaller. And I think that's because they're not living nearly as long. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind as we get to it, and I'll point it out to you as we get there. Whenever we get through, you can kind of lift those if you want to. All right, so we're going to ask a question today. When did dinosaurs first appear? What happened to the dinosaurs? Were dinosaurs on the ark? And if they were on the ark, then when did they die out? Evolution says dinosaurs ruled the earth from 250 million to 65 million years ago. Does the Bible tell us when God made dinosaurs? I mean, think the Bible tells us when God made dinosaurs. There you go. The Bible says that on the sixth day God made the land animals. Are dinosaur land animals? Yes. Okay, and the Bible says that Adam, chapter 2, named all the animals. Right? All the animals. So he would have named the dinosaurs, but he didn't call them dinosaurs because they weren't called dinosaurs until 1842. Right? That's when the word dinosaur was coined. What were they called in every country of the world prior to 1842? Dragons. Okay. All right. God made birds and water animals on day 5. He made the land animals and man on day 6. And they're land animals. Are dinosaurs prehistoric? No. There aren't any prehistoric animals because we have the history from in the beginning. Right? Right. So Adam named them dragons. In fact, except for sheep and goats and cows and like donkey, dragon is one of the most mentioned animals in the Old Testament. Right? And it's mentioned right in there with regular animals. And so 22 times it's used the word tan or tanin, which is the plural. Okay? So all ancient peoples included dragons, sea, air, and land reptiles in their history and in their art. These images of dragons as giant reptiles are remarkably consistent from culture to culture and look like recreations of dinosaurs today. Now, what I want to point out to you is that they do look like the recreations we have today, but in 1900, when our paleontologists were putting them together, they didn't put them together right. But the ancient people drew them right. Okay? I want you to understand, because there's dinosaur art all over the world. Not only the Bible, but all ancient literature and science texts called them dragons until the English paleontologist Sir Richard Owen coined the word dinosaur, terrible lizard, in 1842. No animal is more thoroughly described in the Bible than the sauropod dinosaur behemoth. So the first time that tannin is used is in Genesis chapter 1, verse 21. Now, there's kind of an idea of the law of first use. That the first time a word is used in the Bible, God is trying to explain what it is for the rest of the Bible. For example, anybody know where the first time in the Bible love is used? It's not until the time of Abraham. When God said to Abraham, Abraham, take your son Isaac, your only son, whom you love, and offer him. Why did God put that there? Because he's pointing to his son, who's going to be the real object of love, the real demonstration of love. So everywhere in the Bible that it's used. So the first time this word is used is on day 5 when God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the living moving creature that has life, and let birds fly above the earth in the firmament of the heaven. So God made great sea dragons. He made great sea dragons. That's the first time. So this is a genre of animal that's both water, land, and air. These dragons. Psalm 148, I didn't put all 22 of them in here, but I put in a few that I think are pretty cool. Psalm 148:7 says, praise Yahweh from the earth, you dragons. Praise Yahweh from the earth, you dragons. Isaiah 40:20 says, dragons will honor me. In other words, God created these huge animals to demonstrate his power and to give him glory. Psalm 74:13-14 talks about Leviathan, the dragon of the sea. Jeremiah 51:34 says, he swallowed me up like a dragon. Makes you think of Jurassic Park. Okay? He swallowed me up like a dragon. Micah 1:8, I will wail like the dragon. Did you know the Bible talks about the sound that a dinosaur makes? And so we've never heard one, but I think Jurassic Park kind of got it right. If you remember, the big apatosaurs are out there, and they're kind of walking along, and they're going, right? So I think it's a mournful sound because it says, I will wail like the dragon and make sounds of a warning like an owl. And Job, using that same thing, said, I'm brother to dragon and companion to owls. He's saying that because he was mourning. Because he was going around hurting. Okay, if you look at what Job was going through. And he said, that sounds like dragons and owls. Yeah. Anyway. So, all of those talking about it. So there are over 22. Okay, this is World Book Encyclopedia, 1973. Dragons are strangely like actual creatures that have lived in the past. That's because they are. Right? That's why they're strangely like them. Great reptiles that inhabited the earth long before man appeared. Every country has them in its mythology. Now, they're not presented in any of those countries' writings as if they are mythology. The Chinese, for centuries, raised dragons to pull the emperor's chariot. And they called them, they were talking about them as real creatures. This is National Geographic, and this particular dragon, let's see, I can't read what the deal is, but around 2000, I think, was when the Dracorex Hogwartsia dragon was found. And they said, man, this looks like a real dragon. Okay, all right. Now this is an ancient textbook, 1840, and you'll notice here that it is the book of the great sea dragons, Ichthyosaur and Plesiosaur. So you see that it's talking about dragons. It was 2 years later when the word dinosaur came into being, and every one of those little highlighted places is dragons. Because this is a science book, and that's what they call them. Dragons. All right. Creationists and evolutionists do agree on one thing, and that is there really were dragons, or dinosaurs. So what happened to them? Well, in the 1960s, just before I went off to college students were being told dinosaurs died 65 million years ago of constipation. Now, here's what it said, that you had all these different kinds of plants were evolving, and there was this plant with special kinds of oils in it that really constipated the dinosaurs, but they couldn't lay off of them. And so they ate them, and then they got impacted bowels, and they died. Well, in the 70s, the college students were told that dinosaurs died from air pollution. Not from the impacted bowel thing, but from that there were cracks in the earth, and because of volcanic activity, methane came up out of the earth and poisoned all the dinosaurs. I'm not making this up. You can look all this up. In the 80s, they died of sunburn. This is an actual quote. This had to do with the idea of volcanism, how the ash and everything went up into the atmosphere, destroyed the ozone layer. That allowed the ultraviolet rays to come in, and all the dinosaurs, because they were too big to get under cover, like the little mammals were, they all died and they didn't have any sunscreen, so they all died of the sunburn. But the most popular theory, and I'm sure all of you have heard it, and I think there's some merit to this. Now, they won't say it caused a flood, yet in every single movie where you see there's a big impact from outer space, what does it do? It causes a great big flood, right? But they don't want to talk about being a flood. Here's what's really funny to me, is that geologists look at Mars, where there's not any surface water whatsoever, and say, there was a worldwide flood up there. And then they look at the Earth, it's 75% covered with water still. They say, well, there couldn't have been a worldwide flood here. I said, well, what do you do with all those dead things buried in rock layers that were laid down by water all over the world? What is all that stuff? And then they say, well, those were just little lakes. Little lakes? Went all the way across the United States, up into England, down into Europe, and all the way down into Africa. What do you mean little lake? Right? And they said, over millions of years, animals kind of fell to the bottom, and they got covered up. You can't make a fossil like that. If you're going to make a fossil, it's got to be covered quickly. It has to have the right temperature, it has to have the right pressure, and it's got to be transformed in a hurry, or it does what? It rots. We've raised chickens, and we've raised rabbits, and we've raised dogs and cats, and when they die, I go out and bury them in the garden. When I go out the next year to dig up the garden, there's no dog, there's no cat. These are fish from the Green River Formation up in Wyoming, and there are billions upon billions of these little fish. If I broke this in two, there are lots and lots of layers. There'd be probably 8, 9, 10 fish inside of this. And they're smashed flat. But the story is that there was a massive dive, and all of the fish just kind of dropped to the bottom of this lake, whatever it was that killed them. And as time went along, it covered up. How many of you ever had goldfish that died? Did it drop to the bottom? Of course not. You go down, you know, when there's a massive dive of fish out in the Gulf, what happens? They all float to the top, right? And in a few days they're gone, right? They all rot away. Okay, so in order for these fish to have gotten in there, and all, I mean, I'm talking billions of them. They had to be all covered up immediately by a huge flood. Right. So they say that the most popular theory is that our planet was hit by meteors or comets. By the way, the Bible says that'll happen again in the last days. It says there's going to be a mountain, burning mountain, that's going to hit the ocean. It's going to destroy all the fish in the sea and destroy all the shipping. If you go into Kale's happy class about the last days, you'll learn about all those wonderful things that are fixing to happen. Okay. But it wiped out not just the dinosaurs, but almost all other animals on the earth. They call it an extinction event. And I think that probably the earth was hit by a meteor. And that probably is what caused the flood and caused the earth to break up. The Bible talks about how the fountains of the deep were busted, how it broke up, the water came out the inside. We had this vapor canopy that dropped for 40 days and 40 nights. It quit raining, but it's still, the water kept going up for 150 days because you got water coming out of the earth. And it's still estimated that there's as much water under the crust of the earth than there is on top of the earth. An even more recent theory, gaining in popularity, is that dinosaurs are still alive. They're chickens. All right? Now, you laugh at that, but I saw a little children's book, and there are two groups of evolutionists. There are the uniformitarianism evolutionists that say everything happens so slow you can't see it happening. The problem is that there are no intermediate fossils. We have only the actual animals. We don't have anything in between. So if you had a dinosaur and you had a bird, you should have lots and lots and lots of fossils in between those, right? Where you had a dinosaur that got a little smaller and got a few feathers or proto-feathers and stuff. And anyway, you can get the idea. But none of those exist anywhere. That's why they're called missing links, because they're all still missing. Now, they're not there. They're not in the fossil record. In fact, the fossil record is one of the best evidences for the fact that God created it, because there are no missing links. They're all missing. So you have a group of evolutionists. Stephen Gould is probably the most famous of those. He's a punctuated equilibriumist. That means, okay, so there's no evolution, no evolution. Pow! All of a sudden we got lots of evolution, and now it not just adds one little characteristic, but it's a total change and transformation of the animal. And here was the book. This little children's book. Mama Dinosaur is out there, and she lays 3 eggs. And the first egg pops open, and it's a little baby dinosaur. And the second egg pops over, it's a little baby dinosaur. And the next egg pops open, and it is a songbird. And it flies up into the tree and begins to sing. And that is a science book for punctuated equilibrium. And their reason for why you can't see evolution is because it happens too fast. In other words, because it's such a quick change, there was no time to put it in the fossil record. Right? Okay. Where do we find dinosaur bones? You find them on every continent. I'm going to show you one here in a minute. One of the most recent, one of the most amazing ones was found up in Alberta, Canada, up in the Arctic Circle. Now, dinosaurs are what kind of animals? Cold-blooded or warm-blooded? They're cold-blooded. Cold-blooded animals always live where? Where it's warm, because they can't warm up, right? And yet, if you go down to Antarctica, I mentioned one day when we were talking, I think 2 or 3 Sundays ago, that when you drill down in Antarctica, you hit trees, you also hit fossils of dinosaurs in Antarctica. Well, obviously when they lived there, it wasn't freezing. And it wasn't freezing up in Alberta when they lived there. They only lived where it's warm. So all the earth that God created, it was a perfect environment for all the animals. We find them on every continent, and we find them all in turbidity zones, which are layers of rock that are laid down by water all over the earth. Again, the evolution says it's many, many different floods or many, many different bodies of water, but everybody says it was water. Now, how do we know that it wasn't? What evolutionists looking at this picture of the Grand Canyon, you see down at the very bottom of the Peach Sandstone, and then all the others that go up there, they say there's millions of years. Everywhere one of those, it took millions of years to make the layer, but then there's millions of years in between each of the layers. Right? How can you tell there are not millions of years between those layers? There's no erosion. They're laid down flat, one right on top of the other. There's no erosion between any of them. Now, some of them are twisted and folded because of geologic movement. But those that are twisted and folded are not broken. That means they were twisted and folded while they were still wet, before they hardened. Okay? So the Bible says that 4,500 years ago around there, the earth ruptured, and all the fountains of the deep were broken up, and the windows of the heaven were opened. The rain poured for 40 days, the water kept rising for 150 days till all the earth was covered. 75% still is. The story of the flood is told in every culture on earth. God warned the earth of the coming extinction event that only Noah believed it could happen. Why did only Noah believe it could happen? Because it never happened before. They thought it was scientifically impossible that it could happen. You know, in chapter 2 it says that it hadn't rained. That we had a mist that came up and watered the earth, as well as the spring-fed waters of the rivers that had never rained. So they never had a flood. So when Noah went out and tried to convince people, hey, water's going to fall out of the sky. Ooh, right? Did you see what Noah's doing? He's building this huge boat in his driveway. Right? Out in the middle of Kansas. And so Noah went ahead and did what God said. It took him 100 years to build it. He built a huge wooden boat, 500 feet long, 83 feet wide, 50 feet high, using the plans that God gave him. There was room for each kind of animal, food, and all the folks who chose to get on the boat. They didn't choose to get on the boat. It was so big, all the animals would have fit on the bottom deck, including the dinosaurs. Now, obviously, you're not going to take the big dinosaurs. You're going to, because the bigger ones are old ones. You want to take younger dinosaurs, and the youngest dinosaurs all started out as little bitty ones. The biggest egg we found so far is the size of a football. That's a huge Apatosaurus. And so he would have been like this. So you take some young breeding pairs, and you take them on the ark. You don't need to take a 130-foot-long Apatosaur that weighs 300 tons. Then you want a bunch of ballast. And so I put down here, you put all the animals on the bottom floor, all the food on the second floor, and you still have room for Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, and Noah and his wife, their ping-pong table, their pool table, and their jogging track, and their football table on the top floor. So yes, the dinosaurs were on the boat. Now Job lived during the Ice Age just a few hundred years after the flood. The book of Job is probably the first book of the Bible that was recorded. The Ice Age followed the flood. The evolutionists say there's probably 4 or 5 ice ages. They don't have a clue how any of them could have occurred. But when we look at the Bible, we know exactly how it occurred. From the flood. I don't have time to go into that. Sometimes I share with you all the parts of that. But the only thing, the Bible is the only thing that makes sense of what we see. So God says to Job, look at Behemoth. I made with you. In other words, same time I made you on day 6, made man, on day 6 I made the Behemoth. This is a specific kind of dinosaur. This is one of the big Apatosaurs. He eats grass like an ox. His power is in his hips and his belly. He swings his tail like a cedar tree. His bones are like iron. His thighs are wrapped with bulging muscles. He's the greatest of all animals I created. He lies under the shady trees of the marsh. He eats grass with the beasts of the field, so he's a herbivore. The shade of the trees cover him with their shadow, and the willows of the brook conceal him. hippopotamus or an elephant. Well, look at the hippopotamus tail and the elephant tail. Does that look like a cedar tree? It doesn't look at all like a cedar tree. But there is an animal that God created. Because in 6 days, God created the heavens and earth, sea, and all that is in it. And one of the things He created on day 6 were these gigantic apatosaurs, which is what these are. The chief of God's creation swings his tail like a cedar tree. He's an herbivore, and the muscles and stuff that are in his thighs, bones are like iron. This is 130 feet long, approximately 100 tons, and he's still around somewhere around 400 years after the flood. And here's something I think is interesting. Some dinosaurs may still be around. There are still areas of the earth that we being white folks, have not been to and have not explored. But the pygmies, especially that come out of the Congo, say that there is, and they showed them the pictures of different animals, bear, and tiger. The reason they showed them a bear because they knew they'd never seen a bear. And they wanted to be sure that they were not trying to tell them what they wanted to hear. Okay? So they said, we don't know what that is. They've never seen a bear. But they showed them a lion and different stuff, and then they showed them the apatosaur, and they said, Makili Membi! Makili Membi! Right? And they say that this Makili Membi, now you'll notice he's not near as big. Right? Makili Membi lives there, and Makili Membi means he stops a river. Okay. Notice that they're much smaller. All right. But I think this puts the cap on the whole thing. Back in 1995, this lady is Dr. Mary Schweitzer from the University of North Carolina. She's a paleobiologist. And she went on a great big dig up in Montana, up in the Hells Creek Formation, a very remote area. And they found the most complete T-Rex. So this is a T-Rex skeleton here. The most complete T-Rex skeleton ever found. Most of the bones they find are just broken up into a whole bunch of pieces because these dinosaurs were caught in the flood. And they were rolled and crushed and broken. And one of the things they don't tell you is they find them in there with modern birds. They find them in there with mammals and other animals that were supposed to evolve after them. So she was there, and these great big femurs were so heavy they didn't have a way to truck them out. They flew in with a helicopter. They had to fly these femurs out, and they were so heavy that they had to cut them in two in order to fly them out piecemeal. So being a paleobiologist, she caught that sawdust to take back to her laboratory to look at the bone matrix, because these are not fossilized. These bones are so large, they're like great big cow bones. And so she went back to her laboratory and put under a microscope the bone fragments, and lo and behold, in those bone fragments was soft tissue, red blood cells. Now these red blood cells could not have been human blood cells because human blood cells don't have a nucleus. Reptile blood cells have a nucleus, and these red blood cells had a nucleus. Then she found them in stretchy veins. And then she found pieces of tendon all in there. And when she began to send that information out to the science magazines, she was castigated. I mean, they were ready to string her up. And they kept telling her, oh, that's contaminated. You contaminated that with human stuff, okay? And so she would go back and she would check it again. She kept sending them information. And this guy kept rejecting it. And she said to him, well, what evidence will you accept? He said, none. Dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago. You cannot be finding soft tissue in a dinosaur bone. I won't accept anything it says here. Well, now there have been lots and lots of experiments on a lot of different dinosaur bones, and now the evolutionists have decided, okay. Because they've not only found that, they've also found some intact DNA strains, they found intact proteins. Okay? Now those intact DNA strains and those intact proteins can't last over 10,000 years, even if you froze them in liquid nitrogen. And yet in the world history textbook that I taught out of several years ago, it talked about this amazing discovery. And wouldn't it be wonderful when we find out how soft tissue can be maintained over 70 million years in the ground? See, y'all need to throw your refrigerators out and just take your stuff out and bury it. Right? Okay. So, then in 1999, 16-year-old Tyler Lyson, after a big rain, was looking for fossils down along a creek bank, and he saw a leg sticking out, and he found this mummified hadrosaur with his skin and organs intact, and its DNA intact. Now, they've done checks on that DNA. There were 3 laboratories that took that DNA, and they wanted to run checks on it. And, of course, they were hoping to find that it looked just like chickens today, but they found out it was like crocodiles, and so they shut them down. Because it didn't match what the story was. Now, 5 other of these dinosaur mummies have been found, and every single one of them, this is a report on the carbon, read over on the side, but every single one of them's got carbon-14 in it. Okay. So not only do we have soft tissue, we have carbon-14 still in those bones. So it couldn't be millions even, at most thousands. Can you see that one? That's the most recent one that was found. This was reported in National Geographic as well. And notice what it says in National Geographic. This dinosaur is so well preserved, it might have been walking around a couple of weeks ago. Well, obviously it didn't live millions of years ago. And then dinosaur footprints and man's footprints have been found together right down here in the Biloxi Riverbed, also over in Siberia. When the Russian scientists found those footprints together over in Siberia, one of the Russian scientists says, that proves aliens came here millions of years ago. Now, all over the world, there's dinosaur art that's been found. Let's run down time, I'll rush through these kind of quickly. Can you see at the top of this? This is Bishop Bell's, where he's buried in Carlisle Cathedral. He's buried in 1496, 4 years after Columbus made it here in America. And you have at the top, now he's got, on his tomb, there's all kinds of bears and like wolves and lions and stuff. But there are 2 dinosaurs here who have their necks. Does this have a pointer on it?
Yeah, it's got a pointer.
Which one?
Right.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right. Notice, can you see right there on the tail? See that? Now, this over here's got a smooth tail like this. So what you've got is a Shinosaurus and a Volcanodon on this. And here's the amazing thing. Whoever did that in 1496 drew those dinosaurs or carved those dinosaurs into that grass correctly. But in 1900, this is the way the most educated paleontologist depicted the Diplodocus, dragging his tail along behind him and going along like a crocodile. And this was how they depicted a T-Rex in 1900. Why? Because they'd never seen them. Why did the people in Vail's thing, why did they get it right? Because they'd seen them. In 1496, they were still around. This was actually made in 1600, this particular tapestry. You see the dinosaur that's right there. It's the same as a Nothosaurus. Now, it probably wasn't the same kind that was killed by St. George, but it's one that they knew in their day. It's a semi-aquatic. This is out in Natural Bridges National Monument, and it's the Anasazi Indians depicted the dinosaur there. You see it? And the evolution says that's a squirrel. Anybody can see that's a squirrel. Well, it really kind of looks like that one, doesn't it? This is on a 1,000-year-old Cambodian temple, stegosaur. These are found in Brazil and in South America, these little clay dinosaurs. But notice here, I like the fact that we have this one because it kind of gives you a size relation. Here's a stegosaur with a man there. I don't know whether he's trying to turn him over or get on him or whatever it is, but you have all these different dinosaurs. This is a 2,000-year-old Chupacabra Indian iguanodon. And I also put some of their other art so you see they're pretty realistic. This is how the iguanodon was shown in 1900. how we look at it today. These are a book called the Incan Chronicles, written in 1571. Says conquistadors began to return to Spain, telling of stones engraved with pictures of strange, unknown creatures. These are Ica stones. These are people who lived before the Incas, and a lot of them have dinosaurs on them. Now you'll notice here's a Triceratops. Here's a Triceratops. What do you see on the Triceratops? You see a guy going to war on the back of the Triceratops. Now you notice that Triceratops is not nearly as big as the Triceratops that are in the Fossil River. Here you got a whole bunch of dinosaurs. Here's maybe a plesiosaur, a patasaur, a T-Rex, stegosaur, pteranodon. Several. But notice again, they're drawn correctly. You look at them and say, well, I can see what that is. But if you're in 1900, you say, that's not the way they're supposed to be drawn. Here's some more. Here's a guy on the back of a patasaur. And here's one of the things that's interesting too. You see these little circles? When they had found some mummified dinosaur skin, and the skull patterns are in circles. Venezuelan diplodocus. This is a Mayan headdress. This is a hadrosaur, from the Mayan temple. This is pottery and stuff from South America. This is a Protoceratops on a jar found in Brazil, made by the War Indians about 800. You see this little baby dinosaur? This is a mama dinosaur. Here's a little baby right here. This is a Mysaria. And France has got them on every castle. These are the Dogons of West Africa, somewhere around 1,000 years ago. These are the Hangshan dynasty, and I put over here the other things, the turtle and fish, show you that they actually made things that look kind of real. So we're looking here at one of the Ceratopians. Now, so how did the evolutionists explain that the ancients were able to correctly depict dinosaurs and modern paleontologists in the early 1900s weren't? And you can't make this up unless you're an evolutionist. It's fossil memories. From back when your ancestor was a mammal, a little rodent running around the feet of the dinosaurs, and they were so scared by the dinosaurs that when they evolved into you, they passed down to you those fossil memories. Aha. See, if you don't want to believe, you're not going to believe. What evidence would you accept? None. Well, Jesus says, you need to believe Moses. Believe what Moses wrote, and believe me. We're out of time, so we're going to have a word of prayer. And what I want to encourage you to do is check this stuff out on your own. You can come up and look at this stuff afterwards and ask me any questions that you'd like to ask. And but most of all, believe the Word of God. Believe the way God wrote it. It makes sense of all the scientific evidence. That's right. Father, we just want to thank you again that you've revealed to us, and you said in the New Testament, if it weren't so, I would have told you. And yet we see every time you quoted from the Old Testament, you accepted what Moses wrote exactly as it was written. And you said time and time again, have you not read, have you not read, have you not read? So Father, today we just want to take you at your word. We want to be unshakable, standing upon the word of God, knowing that every promise of God is true, and for us, yes and amen in Jesus. Help us, Father, to be able to share life and truth with people who really want to know. Just lead us. We pray now in Jesus' name. Amen. As we stand together.